Leroy Barber, Director of Innovation for an Engaged Church, part of the IV team. I am going to attempt here to explain the idea of pipeline. And uh, one of the reasons for a pipeline is to bring in, right, a consistent flow of leadership, a consistent flow of people available for leadership. And in our case, obviously available for leadership within the greater Northwest area. Now, 3 years ago, I've been here for 3 years, and came in to a space where there was a big need for new leadership. And that leadership needing to be young, needing to be BIPOC folks, and needing to be a new expression, something that engages community in a different way, right? And so I only say that to say why we built this pipeline the way we did. And for the record, I've built a number of pipelines over my career, and so looking in and getting information that was saying churches were closing, right, and are closing really at just 20, 30, maybe 40 churches since I've started 3 years ago, right? And so that number alone, a pipeline is needed to fill some of that back, right? Or you're out in a few years, right? So we started this pipeline specifically with the idea of ordinary revival. And so ordinary revival was to bring in and to begin to pull together community folks within the Methodist system, right? And folks from various backgrounds, ministry spaces, living, doing, working in community, right? And we did this with the idea of creating an engagement. A pipeline needs if you think of it as a funnel, right? It needs this big entry point. Right? So these big entry points, starting with a revival, gets us in conversation and relationship and all of this activity and nuance and stuff bubbling up around what is this going on? What is this IV team? What is this new thing they're trying to do, right? And so it created all this energy. Moving from that to learning communities, which were smaller, right? But these learning communities kind of dive people into deeper relationship, different conversations, walking communities, right? Those kind of things, some readings. The other piece of this is how we were going to find a partner. And we found a number of partners, whether they were church partners, whether they were organizational partners like the Parish Collective, right? And these partners helped pull off this kind of big invitation. We also had big voice choir, right? Brought in Michelle Lang, right? And brought her choir and her folks in. Big band, big music, big energy, right? Ring life again, right? This revival start the summer 2-3 years ago was the beginning of this pipeline. That led to internships, whether they were summer, right, or year long, right? Those internships moved towards planter assessments. Those planter assessments moved to people getting placed in spaces, right? That moves towards folks thinking about what their ordination looks like, if they want to do that, what their licensing looks like, all those kinds of things. And then on the other side of that, you have possible new expressions of what this thing could look like, right? And so revival, right? We meet somebody like Sonia Gibbs at a revival who is now a planter, who now brought her church in, right? And is now managing, right, and stewarding the Sunnyside building, right? Revivals, right? Big personality and leader and phenomenal woman of color, Michelle Lang, right, comes in and helps us with revival, gets in relationship, listens to this, and is now in Seattle leading a hub. Right? Andrew and Regina Morgan come in. We meet them, right? They go through this process, go through the leadership identification stuff, and become planters, and are now planters leading in the space, right? So, Forrest and Nicole come in, right? They are interns. Those interns then turn into people getting assessed as planners, then becoming planters, now looking at what their licensing is, what their ministry is, what their ordination is within the system. We did an event at, where were we? We did this event at one of the local colleges, Warner Pacific, and Jefferson is there at the event. He doesn't decide to do the internship, but he becomes an associate pastor, right, at Beaverton, walks through that process, and is now in the process for ordination, right? So big thing, right? Inviting people in, and then people walk through process, whether that's we meet them as students in high school, whether we meet them at college, right? Whether we meet them through something like the revival, they become planters, right? They get assessed, right? They take a look at what is offered within DCOM or Boom or any of those kinds of things, right? Or not, right? And then on the other side of that is some new expression, right? That is working. That is in place. Right now, right, we have people that have been interns that we've met in this wide thing we've put out, right, from Boston College to Fuller, right, to Morehouse in Atlanta, right, all of these places we're going to constantly, right, and we're meeting people, we're engaging folks for this understanding of what this new expression of the church in the greater Northwest area will look like. Now, why have we concentrated on POC, right? Why have we concentrated on outside BIPOC folks, right, to come in? Well, see, when I started 3 years ago, right, Oregon, Idaho had 0 black clergy, 0. And now we have 7 or 8 folks within the atmosphere that could possibly move into that space, right? That is needed. That's why we're doing this, right? The tension that we feel with insiders, outsiders is all good, right? Because that's how you create new. Innovation, right, meets at the intersection of difference. And that difference, that rub, that clash, inside, outside, BIPOC folks, people of color, right? All of it works, right? And all of it works so that we can create something new. I hope you join the new. I hope you have enough vision and enough understanding to see what's going on here and what's happening. We're not trying to do a pipeline. We're not scrambling to make something happen. We know what we're doing. We have built a pipeline. And it will continue to consistently push leaders into this space. You should join that. You should be going, celebrating that. And what do we do next? How do we get this thing that's now bringing all these folks, right, from all over the place, right, checking us out, right, wanting to see what's going on in this area. And we will meet we will meet that clash. And that clash will create something beautiful and new. Get on board. IV team, Greater Northwest area. Yeah, baby.